I'm looking
concern
up
for the
Zeke
officer
Miller.
safety. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Coming up, more
I want to see if
details
he
on
was
the
the guy
FDA's
that was
pause on Johnson
had
&
the
Johnson's
cold dead
COVID vaccine.
eyes.
We'll break down the numbers and what investigators are studying. You're streaming Red and Blue.
The name is familiar.
I have such a sense of awareness now. When I step foot outside, I am constantly scanning to see who's around.
We've seen so many random attacks on people just for the way they look, and they look like me.
I start going around putting my mask a little higher, maybe wearing sunglasses, and you feel very vulnerable. I've seen it just really tear people apart, and they don't know whether they're actually safe.
I think the violence has always been there. The racism has always been there, the discrimination.
There was always an underlying concern, but now I feel as though it has somewhat exploded.
Try to understand that it can happen to someone who you are so close with.
I think we have a responsibility to say something and stand up now, not just for ourselves and for our parents' generation, but for the future generations that come after us.
Are your windows drafty, broken, or your energy bills on the rise? Champion is here to help. It's replacement window season, and we're celebrating with buy 2 windows, get 2 free. At Champion, we design new windows specific to your home's needs. Then they are built in our very own factory, installed by a team of professionals, and guaranteed for a lifetime by our best-in-class warranty. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free. Call now, or download our free buyer's guide at championmyhome.com. This is the sound of greatness. No shortcuts, no magic stars.
10 things.
Being great means being pretty bad for a while. And soon, you'll be something else. Speaking a new language, Rosetta Stone, how language is learned.
Well, I don't see any pictures of the guys of the guy with the cold dead eyes. So it may or may not be Zeke Miller.
But this is worth. At that, that's actually worth more than you think. Don't open that. Wealth is important, and we can help you build it. But it's what you do with it that makes life worth living. Principle, for all it's worth.
Time to turn talk into action. Step 1, fire up your BetMGM Sportsbook. Step 2, make your pick. And step 3, showtime. Now that hunch has some weight to it. Every play, every game means something more.
Satanists say they've ascended just to be more evil.
You're betting with the king of sportsbooks.
Carla Pig says she and her Satanists
Federal health officials
can
are
be
advising
better
a
than God and the Holy
terrorist
Spirit of
stop to
God, only
Johnson
be
& Johnson's
evil.
coronavirus vaccine. The pause comes as officials investigate a potential connection between its vaccine and blood clots, something reported in 6 people out of nearly 7 million doses administered. Deborah Alfarone reports from outside FDA headquarters.
The FDA and CDC recommended a pause in use of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine over concerns of rare blood clots. But top White House health officials say there won't be a significant impact on vaccination efforts.
We have more than enough supply of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines to continue the current pace of about 3 million shots per day.
Officials say there have been 6 reported cases of blood clots out of more than 6.8 million doses delivered. 1 woman has died. All 6 cases occurred in women between the ages of 18 and 48, and their symptoms developed 6 to 13 days after receiving the vaccination.
This is a really rare event if you look at what we know so far.
Federal health officials say those who've received the vaccine recently should seek medical attention if they develop any of these symptoms. They also warn using the drug heparin to treat the rare blood clot could be dangerous. The CDC will hold an advisory committee meeting on Wednesday to discuss the 6 cases and next steps. Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson released a statement saying that
they're
there is
more
no clear relationship
manipulative
between
now.
rare events and the vaccine. The J&J pause also dominated
They haven't hit a
Tuesday's
God note
weekly
yet.
White House COVID response team conference call with state governors.
My hope would be that this is something that is a little bit of a speed bump.
Top administration health officials say the pause could last anywhere from days to weeks. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Silver Spring, Maryland.
For more, let's bring in CBS News reporter Alex Tin, who has been following the U.S. pandemic response. Hi there, Alex. So as we just heard, there have been 6 reported cases of blood clots linked to Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. That is out of nearly 7 million doses administered so far. Now, the acting FDA commissioner said the pause is expected to last for a, quote, matter of days. But Alex, where does the investigation stand?
Well, thanks for the question. It's interesting because the investigation all started with them identifying this rare pattern of blood clots in recipients of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine right here in the United States, which is one of the first places anywhere in the world that had emergency authorized the use of these vaccines. Now, what makes this combination of blood clots so rare is not only that these 6 cases were what's called CVST. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it's essentially a rare type of blood clot that affects a type of a stroke in the brain combined with low blood platelet counts. And what federal health officials said today was the unique danger of that combination means that doctors need to treat these cases differently. They need to change the way they approach these cases. When they see somebody coming in with blood clots, they need to ask them, number 1, have you received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the past? And number 2, run specific tests to assess whether the standard treatment they would typically give people with these clotting episodes might actually need a different treatment, because the standard treatment might actually make their cases worse. So the investigation had occurred when they discovered that there was this concerning pattern. They issued this recommendation for a pause all around the country, saying, stop using doses for now. Here are the recommendations for people that you might get with these clotting episodes. And then tomorrow, the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP, which is an independent advisory body that
Satanists say they have an advisory committee
for the Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer vaccines already, will meet to review the evidence, review the data, and potentially issue new recommendations, maybe changing who is recommended to get the doses or when they are recommended to get the doses. So that's really the nature of the pause. Now, yes, there is still an investigation. Yes, they're still looking at the data. But really, the pause is to give providers time to catch up on what they need to know treating these cases, and also to give the ACIP time to deliberate on these updated recommendations.
All right, so Alex, how does all of this stand to impact the Biden administration's vaccine rollout?
Well, at the risk of not trying to conflate 2 different issues, we knew already that Johnson & Johnson was struggling with supply issues. We knew that a key plant that has made up a majority of the planned supply that was supposed to come of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine in the United States, Emergent Biosolutions in Baltimore, is still waiting for FDA approval to release their doses. And what that means is this large amount of
they
doses
perceive
that
that
were
my
produced
tastes
from that plant
are
has
changing.
yet been distributed to the public, and we saw that manifest in the supply allocation numbers we saw for the coming week, where supply was dropping. I think it was 86%.
Carla Pick says Richard Hannon Jr. had complete control over me.
States and other localities to order. And so what that resulted in
God said he did the divorce programming over me that made me lust to cut my arm until I bled to death.
That have been administered so far and that are already planned to administer are coming from Pfizer and Moderna.
Carl Pick says he's qualified to interpret for God.
I don't think they will. It sounds like they may end this pause soon. But even if this pause were to continue
interpret his
there still
actions
seems to be plenty of vaccine supply available, not only to meet President Biden's goals of vaccinating
and analyze
all
him,
adults by the end of May,
and then she
but
sums
also
him
to
up
keep
into a
up the
few
pace
short,
that we've seen
nasty
so far.
words.
Well, Alex, how are states dealing with appointments scheduled for Johnson & Johnson vaccines?
Well, you saw a whole wave of states addressing that question today in a whole bunch of different ways. Some of them are pretty short term. You have people who were scheduled for doses today who need to be rescheduled for doses, and in some cases that's pretty easy. Some of them, they just pushed the doses to later and said, we think this pause might be over soon. We're waiting to hear back more. If you would like to schedule a new appointment, you can. If you want an appointment now, we're going to figure out a way to get you this Pfizer or Moderna dose. But that's not an option for everyone for a few reasons. Because Johnson & Johnson is a single-dose vaccine, unlike Pfizer and Moderna, which requires 2 doses separated over a specific period of time, there are certain populations that are just much harder to vaccinate if you need 2 doses. So it's not a realistic, quick decision to say, okay, this person we were going to vaccinate tomorrow with a single dose, we'll just give them the double dose, because it's possible the reason that you were hoping that person could get the single dose vaccine was it would be hard to get them the second dose within that recommended time frame. So, to put it bluntly, there are some appointments that are going to be easy to reschedule, some appointments that will be easy to switch over to Moderna and Pfizer, but that doesn't solve the whole problem, because for a lot of states, they're really dealing with this planning quagmire now of how do you address these difficult populations that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was designed, hopefully, to reach.
Right, so many complicating factors with all of this. Alex Tin for us. Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, new details about the timeline of the January 6th insurrection. Vice President Mike Pence reportedly pleaded with the Trump administration to stop the riot and clear the Capitol. But they
Carla
instead,
Pig says she's
they're
John
screaming red
Lansbury.
blue.
Carla Pig says she's John Lansbury.
Sunday morning at 9 and 11:30 a.m. on CBSN.
The day after chemo might mean a trip back to the doctor's office, just for a shot. But why go back there? Last on, strong chemo can reduce the risk of serious infection. In a key study, Blaster reduced the risk of infection from 17% to 12%, a 91% decrease. Last hospital was designed to
Carla Pig says she's John Lansbury. Carla Pig says she's John Lansbury. Carla Pig says she's John Lansbury. Carla Pig says because she's been raping your brain and mine, God, that she's able to control her reactions. I gotta stop.
imagine someone, just like you and me, who were functioning fairly well. We have gone to a job in a factory, contracted COVID, we may be in their 40s or 50s, and their whole world is upside down.
Today, registered nurse Jose Pasion is wearing extra layers of PPE as he cares for a man in his 50s in an isolation room while the team awaits the results of the patient's COVID-19 test.
We're seeing all walks of life now. The ages actually come evenly on with generation. So we're seeing even 20s, 30s. First, we didn't see that before.
So this patient, because of the duration that he suffered from his COVID illness.
Pasion and Betts often work side by side, and they're feeling the toll of caring for more and more patients in the prime of their lives.
The physical work we can get by, and we'll be here for our patients whenever. It's the emotional toll of seeing what they're going through and knowing what their families are going through that really weighs on us.
A 10-minute drive away at another busy hospital site in Scarborough, the gatekeepers of the emergency department say the level of illness and pain is reaching new heights.
Never seen anything like it. In fact, it's the worst we've seen since the pandemic started.
Dr. Norm Chu has been chief of emergency medicine here for close to a decade. Right now, he says roughly a quarter of all COVID-19 tests taken here are coming back positive.
Particularly in Scarborough, we've been disproportionately affected by COVID, a lot of multi-generational families, lots of factory workers, lots of essential workers.
The threat of the virus is on everyone's minds, as are the consequences. As Paula Clark spends her day cleaning patient rooms, wiping every surface with a towel soaked in bleach, memories of her late mother come to mind.
My mom died with COVID, so I have to make sure everything's done properly. I'll wipe this down.
It's a burden Clark carries while trying to keep others safe.
I go to the back.
But with bills to pay, she shows up, shift after tiring shift.
It's hard because I didn't get to see her, so, I saw her this Sunday on the video, and then she died in the evening.
As new patients keep on coming, Dr. Chu says many members of his team are close to hitting a wall and burning out.
Most of us work in the emergency department because we like the adrenaline, we like the fast-paced work, but now after a year, it's quite draining, and we're almost at our limit.
From the emergency department back to the ICU, Dr. Betts wonders why the tragedy of the third wave wasn't prevented.
If you go back to early February, I think the modeling data for these new variants was quite clear what could potentially happen, and unfortunately it's been realized.
Eventually, this pandemic will end, but few people here will be left untouched. Staff haunted by loss. Young lives forever changed. And families bonded by love and by a virus torn apart.
So Laura, there's some really wrenching moments in there, and I suppose the first thing first, how is Ed?
Well, we caught up with the ICU staff, and Ed is still on a ventilator today. But his family remains hopeful that he'll be going home soon to see his wife Esther and their kids and their grandkids.
So in watching it, what I find sort of both interesting and worrying is that when we went into the ICU a few months ago, the anxiety then was that patients were younger, they were staying in the unit for longer, struggling for longer, and I'm wondering, how is that playing out now?
I think me and Paul
Well, in Ontario, part of the challenge is we started this wave
identify
with so
more
many
with
of those
minorities
patients still from the second
than
wave,
with white
and even a
people.
handful from the first wave. So now we're sort of playing catch up here and dealing with all of these new challenges. What we heard from the ICU staff is that the patients entering the hospital today could still be there in June or July or even longer. So it's a tough road ahead. Adrian?
Okay, that is a worry. Lauren Pelly tonight.
He showed me that he's kind of placed with Native Americans, American Indians.
Who have had enough.
I know I feel a lot of comfort and comfortableness around black
I
people.
know how important social life and friends can be at your age. I'm
Not all black
judging
people.
you. On the contrary, we must recognize all the efforts you made in the past year. But more and more young people are getting sick, so please follow the rules to protect you. All Quebecers will be able to get vaccinated before June 20
And then I heard the police officer ask them to hang up the phone. They hung up the phone. 3 or 4 seconds went by. I tried calling it back to back to back. I didn't know what was going on. I never imagined this is what was going to happen. I just thought maybe he was being arrested. And then when I called back, the girl that he had in the car answered the phone. And it was on a FaceTime. And she said, she was crying and screaming, and she said that they shot him. And she pointed the phone towards the driver's seat, and my son was laying there, unresponsive. That was the last time that I seen my son. That's the last time I heard from my son, and I have had no explanation since then.
We went through Miss Kennedy.
Now, there are also growing concerns about a rise in COVID numbers in Saskatchewan. In fact, one young COVID patient is speaking out about his time in the intensive care unit. We're talking about 34-year-old Matthew Cardinal. He was induced into a coma and put on a ventilator. He is now back at home in Regina.
I was watching CBS News
So Matthew,
when
thank you for being with us today.
I saw a guy with cold dead eyes and heard a name I recognized, Zeke Miller. But none of the pictures on the internet under Zeke Miller's name look like the guy with the cold dead eyes. But they have a CBN News host who looks a lot like the guy with the cold dead eyes.
It's still getting rid of the virus out of the body, like the dead cells, I guess, I don't know.
And you went through a scary experience. Here you are speaking to us, but you've just gone through a very scary experience, which I'm going to talk about. But let's break it up first and foremost, beginning with when you started feeling ill. What happened?
Okay, so on the 15th, I got a crazy headache, and I'm not known to get headaches, right? Like, it was just so intense, and I knew something was wrong, so I called home. I told my mom, stay far away from me, something's wrong, like I'm feeling really sick. So I went home that night, laid in bed, and that's when the fever started, chills, you know, like classic typical COVID things, like the symptoms. And it got worse and worse and worse after that. Finally on the 24th, I had to call an ambulance, and I couldn't breathe. So they sent right away for me to go to the hospital, and yeah, it was crazy from there.
Crazy from there, and one of the things that I was reading in the conversation you shared with one of my producers, you said at one point the doctor
Yes. I don't know. I don't know if everybody has that. Kind of think I don't think so. I hope you don't have that. It's too much. It's too much. No. Don't do that. Yes. No. No. I'm not a power. I don't know. No. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Oh. Sadness can't stand anything that stains my life. In this moment in time, they don't want me to take vitamin E. weren't able to empathize with each other. Once again, Satanists are trying to take away from me what I need the most, which is my mind and my ability to think. I didn't believe that. I thought it was... What you did to me was too important for you to end up researching heartworm stuff. More or less. I just didn't believe it. I don't believe you were that, I don't know. Not coffee, not... I didn't believe you were that. It's not that I didn't... No. Oh, I want to have it. Mine. And I like it. Oh yeah, I developed it. Shit. Reading is interesting, especially when you get little Hansel and Gretel crumbs, you know, and you can sniff out something. Oh. I ran out of things. I ran out of... I don't know. I kept looking. You know? No, because I didn't know. Well, Clotho silver is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, anti-mold. It would kill mildew. It kills very small bugs. Well, that's what I read. I read the Clotho silver kills bed bugs. I don't remember. Spray, I guess. Okay. Not single cell. Common thing. life is different when you pray to God and you are heard. You get guidance from people who know the big picture. You just know your portion. But they let you know. They let you know what you should do. The woman who lived in St. Peter's Place, who had a big service dog, not as big as Louis. Let's see. She couldn't remember her name yesterday, and I was trying to remember it. And she wanted to know the name of the disease she had. I read about it when she told me what it was, and it was a name. No. It was a doctor's name dash something. Disease. And I read, you know, it was all the different things that could go wrong with the body, but it wasn't viral or bacterial. And I don't know, none of the things I knew of would actually help that, whatever she had. So, it was unusual. Well, I don't know. She was a minister. She was a Nazarene. I think that's a branch of religion. A Nazarene. It means something about Nazareth. It wasn't an objectionable belief system, in my opinion. I don't have many. Real hard. Not around Richard, just in general. Weird. feel like that's preventable. Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only change form. Probably didn't take it that far, just that it starts to collapse in on itself. It reaches the maximum entropy, which is different than chaos, I think. It's just an expansion. I don't understand your psychology. Well, I guess I don't. But it sounds terrible. I'm not sure. I think so. The Bible says fascination with evil the fascination for evil throws something in the shade, right? Something in the shade. I wasn't fascinated with evil, except that the psychology of evil is interesting. I think Judas Spencer was a real expert. I think that's silly. Worshiping an adult. I worshiped Victor Fane. He was the first person I worshipped. He was about 18 months old when I started babysitting for him, and we just had a certain something. We just had a bond, and I loved him so much. I thought of taking him and running away. But I didn't have any money, and he was the child of Bob and Jamie. You know, I had some realistic thinking too, but I would have loved to just run away and taken care of him, and I don't know, just run away. But I do have, I don't know if I do know right now, I have worshipped my son. He's just kind of, well, I have worshipped my son. Satanists have wanted me isolated and desolate. So it's fair to ask that they be isolated and desolate. No, I'm not being fake, and I am trying. Maybe within a paradigm. Well, if I can remember it. When Satanists are not confrontational with me or accusatory, I don't mind answering their questions with what stuff I've read and stuff. I like a certain distance between people. Like, I like not having shit in the astral plane around me and being able to close and lock the door of wherever I live and choose the contact I have with people instead of I'm happy to have the encouragement of the lead singer of Iona. You've never heard of it before? Intuition. Intuition. You sense the vibes around you. As in, didn't. I can see how it translates, though. Yeah. If you're having a really bad day, put on makeup and do your hair. Satanists hate while you're doing it, but treat you better once you're looking better. Ideas and stuff. Yes. Yes, fiction. Yeah. Newt Hampson is fiction. He's a little clever. I understood something without understanding it entirely intellectually when I read the second book I got from the stacks at the University of Miami. I don't know what floor I was on. The stacks were 8 floors. It was that our language limits our thinking. That's it. Our language limits our thinking. So, like, I always used to hear people say, you know, such and such generation doesn't have grammar and spelling skills that our generation had and stuff like that. Oh. I may have had one. I did buy a set of books. I guess kind of teaching books. Yeah, I don't know, did I buy it? I may have had one book from the things I collected from Donna. I asked her, can I go through the picture box and take some pictures, photos? Because we were moving to Virginia, and she said, yeah, take whatever you want. Anyway, I had some old, whether I bought them or took one of hers or something, I had some old school books, like instruction books for kids, and more was expected of kids years ago. And I just remember learning a lot in school, in elementary school, which was St. Raphael's. You know, I like the memorization part of math. It's like you have to memorize certain stuff. And you do that with repetition, and that works. Repetition works. I don't know. Rich showed me a new way of dividing. And it looked pretty hard. Anyway, well, yeah, you have multiplication tables and stuff like that. I don't think there are division tables. But you have multiplication tables. You just memorize 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 54, etc., etc. You just memorize them and then you know. You know, you repeat them enough. English, I don't remember English too much in elementary school. I know we had it. I know we had, you know, punctuation and all that. I remember Sister Victorine was, strict about stuff. You know? Well, I'm allowed to extrapolate. I don't like Satanists in my vicinity because they intrude. They don't wait to get something from me willingly. Are there other aspects of life besides that? You know. God almighty. I wouldn't think so. No thank you. No thank you. The Bible says, my son, give power over yourself to no one. So, you don't. Oh, come on. I ignore a lot of things, you know? You can't fight about everything. There may have been a reason why my recollection of how long I stayed at Mercy Hospital the 2 times differed from my records, my hospital records. I think I thought I was in Mercy the first time for 3 weeks. I don't remember exactly what my records said. Maybe a week. I don't know why on paper they would shorten my stay when my stay was longer. Come on. 3 weeks. I think it says about a week the first time. And I thought I was in 2 weeks the second time. And it said like 4 days or something. The admission and discharge dates for both admissions are in the records. I put them on my webpage. I don't know if there's among the documents for documents and stuff, documentation and stuff. Just that one thing. Let's see. I was able to gather some information on John Phelan, who was a psychiatrist along with Evan Katz, a psychiatrist, scared the shit out of me. Debbie invited me over to study for the first time, and I went over. Her house was nice, her stepmother was nice, her father had an office down the hall from her bedroom, and whatever. When we were going to her bedroom after being outside in the backyard, Evan Katz emerged from what I understand was the office door and went to the first door on his left. So I saw him from a bit of a distance, and my eyes hadn't completely adjusted to the light. But when I opened the door to Dr. Phelan's office, my first admission to Mercy after I'd attempted suicide, it just whacked me in the face that was the man I met in the hallway at Debbie's house. But it was a different psychiatrist with a different name, but he looked just like the man I met at the end of the hallway at her house. And he had a nice, kind of luxurious office, and I was breathless with shock and fear, and I tried to make chit-chat, just trying to get a hold of my composure, because he scared the shit out of me. I was like, wait a minute. I had just met Evan Katz maybe the week before, or 2 weeks before. So what? Maybe it was more like a month to 6 weeks. I don't know. When I visited Debbie's house, she had a book just titled Schizophrenia. It had a white paper, glossy paper cover. And, I don't know. I knew a little bit about schizophrenia, but I asked her if I could borrow the book, and she loaned it to me. And the next time I saw her on campus, she said, "Laura, I need that book back." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I haven't read it yet." She said, "I need it back. It's very important." Blah, blah, blah. She was sharp with me, and I felt bad. I thought maybe she was afraid I was going to damage it or bend the pages or something. But I don't think I would have. It was her book and it was new. Library books, I will bend the pages, curl your little corner at the top, and I will underline in pencil and copy quotes down. And then before I return the book, I erase all my underlines. You can still see the lines you can still see the indentations where the pencil was. But, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Well, I do sometimes. Yeah, mostly I stick little pieces of paper in the books, to mark my places where I've had the underlines. I don't write down every quote as I come across it. I usually read, find the things I underline, the things I think are important, and then I go back and write them down, before I turn the book in. things I believe they've all heard, they haven't all heard. Some may have. Satanists find they have in common with us an interest in learning interesting things. Learning about interesting things. Like, I don't know. Like the stuff I look up. Sometimes I look up because somebody asked me to. And sometimes it's a trap. I don't know if Satanists did it or if God's just fucking with everybody, including me. But the news, I like to watch the news, you know. The news was pretty fucked up about, the whole thing is CBS News. A guy with cold dead eyes, and then who the host or hostess was a woman. When she was wrapping up with the 3 panelists, it was Canadian Broadcast Corporation. Guess. I thought it was CBN, Canadian Broadcast Network. Canadian Broadcast Network. Whatever. But anyway, then I went to Tubi and went to, from CBS, I went to Tubi to Canadian Broadcast Channel. And the interviewer, I guess, the interviewer looked a lot like the guy with the cold dead eyes, who, as far as I can tell, turned out to not be the Zeke Miller name I recognized of the 3 panels. But then the Canadian Broadcast Network host, that when I switched to channels, I had never seen him before. I've seen certain people give interviews, but I mean, you know, host news hours. He looked a lot like a guy with cold dead eyes. And I'd never seen him before. I guess God is making things more subtle. Oh, come on. The Bible says, something about she's something most subtle spirits. And I didn't think about that phrase very much, but I thought that wisdom can see the most subtle spirits. When I realized I hadn't exactly suspected Richard Hanning Jr. of being evil, I did mistrust him at times. But 18 years faking me out, I wondered if maybe wisdom could perceive most subtle spirits, but not all. But I didn't think about that phrase very much in regular life. I had to look up a lot of the words to describe wisdom. There are 21 words to describe wisdom, or 21 characteristics or attributes of wisdom. And some of them I looked up, like manifold. I'm not a multiple personality person. I am manifold. I have many folds. Subtle, I know what that means. For within her is a spirit intelligent, holy, manifold, subtle, active, incisive, unsullied. Blah, 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 blah. And wisdom is quicker to move than any motion. She is so pure, she pervades and permeates all things. Quicker to move than any motion. She's so pure, she pervades and permeates all things. I didn't think I was permeating anything. There you go. No. In the Denver airport vicinity, like on the property of the Denver airport, they have roads and stuff. And one of them is like Penis Road or Prick Road or something like that, a sexual connotation. That's what I read. And there's supposed to be reptilian creatures underneath the Denver airport. And I just didn't believe the whole reptilian creature thing. I thought it was to discredit survivors. Survivors who said they saw reptilian beings or something underground. What am I supposed to think? Upright reptilian creatures. Well, I believe that's what they said. Anyway, I didn't believe the reptilian thing. But I had a few really frightening experiences with Richard Hanning Jr. after I fell in love with Paul. And, I don't know. Richard was 3D. He would come back from Kentucky to visit me and Rich. And he'd stay in our apartment on Linden Street. And, I was in love with Paul, or falling in love with Paul, and Richard came to stay. I was led to understand that I had a big attachment on my head that held souls, and that I had to be authentic like if I'd stolen something or done something, it was contrary to what I wanted to do, that the bag would leak into my head, and I'd have all these, people's spirits running around in my head. But the bag didn't break, or enter my head, and, I don't know what you would call them, a panel of people, a committee of people, kind of had to rape me to get the bag off. The bag. And they did do injury to me, and I recognized they did injury to themselves. They recognized it too. It's like, wow, you just hurt the Holy Spirit. That's like an injury. Well, I've always been awake and alert. I don't remember every moment of every day of my life, but I didn't lose track of time like you would if you switched personalities and you had a separate personality, you know, that was involved with certain people or different characteristics, and they fade in and out of your personness. I don't think it's necessarily evil if you have multiple personalities. It's a coping mechanism when children are traumatized in the extreme. It's a coping mechanism to take certain memories and put them in certain places and whatever. Satanists torture me when I try to answer sincerely because they think my sincerity ascends people, like the people who would watch this video, and they don't want people to ascend. Which means thinking through layers of information on the earth. I just knew because the spirit came out. I just knew. Well, yes. I just knew it was natural. I guess no. I don't think that's fair. Please. Dina, I can't remember what was done to me while I was unconscious. But I can't remember it. Dino tortured me when I slept. I do believe that. Toward the end of our relationship, I was just so not centered or composed. No, dear. Well, Donna Jean Wagner-Landsberg wants to know everything about those moments of mine. She got Dino instead of me, and I think she fucked him a lot. At the time, I didn't think she necessarily was getting fucked by Dino. Didn't seem like she was getting fucked by Harry. She just seemed to feel like a sexual... I perceived her as being at her sexual peak, and she would have been 38 plus 21, 60. 38 plus 21, 60. So, you know, I forget. Awesome. But it's like she had gotten a love for life. You know what I mean? But the price was me being destroyed. You know, all she had to do was destroy me. And, she had, you know, a spring in her step. She really did. She was like a half new person. I didn't think in that moment that she was fucking Dino, but there was that moment earlier when he called her on the phone at the office on her private line, and I was at her secretary's desk and pressed the same button to pick up the phone at the same time. I wasn't expecting one to call. I don't know, she was in there doing some work or something. Anyway, it was Dino, and before he knew I picked up the phone, she had also picked up the phone, which I didn't know. And he said, "Hi, Donna, this is Dino." And she said something like, "Oh, yes, Laura's here, you want to talk to her?" Something like that. I was like, he just called her Donna. Never heard him do that before. He had the number to her private line at Nob Hill. It sounded like friends. But my parents did not like Dino. He wasn't good for me and all that crap. He came to Easter dinner once without a shirt. He came on his motorcycle without a shirt on to Easter dinner, and Donna was all perturbed. So I loaned him a shirt of mine. But they didn't seem to like him. All of a sudden he's calling her on the phone, on her private line, calling her Donna, and sounding kind of cheerful about it. "Hi, Donna, this is Dino." It's like, wait a minute. And the first thing she said was, "Laura's here in the office too. Here she is. It's like, okay, I bet they're fucking. So I followed her one night, and she went to Winn-Dixie grocery store. And I figured she was grocery shopping. So I guess it becomes significant when where I used to go shopping when I lived in Imperial, Pennsylvania. I used to go grocery shopping, some little strip mall kind of thing. Anyway, I wrote about this. It was one man getting out of a luxurious SUV with a child, a little boy, dressed nicely, you know, kind of yuppie little people. And then 5 minutes later, another man came with his little boy, got out of his luxury SUV. Little boy was really well dressed, and they walked into the grocery store. And I thought, wasn't that cute? Daddy's taking the children with him. Usually mommies have to take the children with them to the grocery store. And then that was the next time. I did my shopping and I forgot about it. Seeing the two men with the two little boys. But I was in my car. I think I'd already loaded the trunk and I was just sitting there. I don't know, I wasn't doing anything. And I saw the two men walk out of the grocery store together talking, chatting, and then they veered off and went to their separate vehicles. No boys. And I didn't understand. I thought, well, did they meet the mommies inside and the mommies have the boys? Anyway, I don't even know when it occurred to me that, they were leaving the boys at the grocery store, using rooms in the grocery store, like the back room maybe. To torture children. Also to transport them in bread trucks and trucks like that to hospitals for surgeries and stuff. I don't mind. I don't mind knowing facts. Carla Pick says, for Satanists, it's personal about me. Laura. I didn't know Satanism was about me and Paul. I didn't know God was on the earth. I had no idea. But I didn't know that Satanism was halfway about me, the Holy Spirit, and I don't know, about God, about religion, about whatever. I don't really think. I think I had some celebrities follow me on Twitter, and I think I thought maybe they were secretly interested, like they had read my pages about mind control and stuff like that, and things the government was doing. And I thought maybe some of them were interested in that subject and were following me on Twitter to let me know they were paying attention. Something. Meg Ryan is also someone different, female, older. I guess I don't know. I don't really know. I think that's unrelated. I don't know what a Hildy is or a Tildy. Could be a personality type. Like a Hildy I perceive as a woman with hair wrapped up in a bun, like a library person, like a library checker-outer. And it's possible that the Tildies are men. Tillerson is a Tildy. I don't know if I have that written down anywhere. Tildy is Tillerson. I need help. They seriously want answers out of me. And I do answer the best of my ability, but they fuck with me. And I can't remember what I just said and shit like that. No, that's what I'm gonna say to a doctor. I'm just not gonna keep repeating their people in the astral plane in my vicinity. You know? They talk to me, they interrupt me, they make me have to go to the bathroom, stuff like that. Satanists want me to feel guilt and shame for all my sins. I, on the other hand, would like to see them tortured for torturing little people. They're people. Okay. Well, you're my worshiping audience out there. I'm important. So, I'll upload this to... I'll put it as public and leave it on my YouTube page, so...